Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. As always, if this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to go forward and accomplish that dream. Now, in the previous episode, I talked about how the past tense, your tenseness, your anxiety, your depression, your worries from the past are sometimes triggered by things that we experience in our present. But we can't forget that we are literally here in the present day simply because of the prayers from the past. Those prayers from the past, that perseverance, that unwillingness to quit in the past is literally what got us here to the future. And it's that same principle that applies that will get us from our present struggles to our future endeavors, our future freedom, our future joy, our future empowerment. It's the same principle. Nothing has changed. Although we may be triggered by things that we experience in our present day, the same principle applies. Now, it was my pastor, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III, that first introduced me to this concept that I'm about to talk about on this episode. Just as the past got us to the present has to get us to the future. But how does that happen? You see, the more you ascend, the more things you accumulate, the more goals you accomplish, but the bigger your dreams become and the more things you have to lose. So everything that you have now in the present, even though it might be hard right now, even though money may be low, even though it may be tough in your business, it may be tough in your career, it may be tough for you to accomplish your goals because of external forces that you may not have full control over, or it might be some things that you need to work on in your life. Nevertheless, even though there are some things in your life that are tough right now that you are struggling with, you still have more right now than you did in the past. So because you have more right now than you did in the past, you have more right now in your present, you are afraid to lose that. You do not want to lose that. You do not want to go back to the past. You don't want that past tense to come back on you. You don't want that past depression, that past anxiety to come back on you twofold. You are afraid. Because you have everything that you accumulated and accomplished right now, you don't want to lose it all. You are triggered. But I'm telling you right now that just as your prayers in the past got you to the present, just as your perseverance, your endurance got you to the present, most of all, what got you to the present was your faith. We all know the scripture, Hebrews 11:1. Now, faith is substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. We know how the scripture goes. But it was my pastor, Reverend Dr. Otis Moss III, that introduced this concept to me in a sermon that he preached one day. He said that faith and risk are one and the same. Because just because you have faith doesn't mean that fear is absent. It's still very much present. That's why you're afraid to lose what you have in the present and reverting back to the past. That's why you're afraid right now, even though you're trying to catapult yourself to the future. Fear is very much present, despite the fact you have faith. That's why faith and risk is synonymous, because when you have faith, you are risking it. But that's a risk worth taking, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, because you came through those past struggles. You came through those past storms and you got to the present, and you are afraid about losing what you have in the present, losing your business, losing your money, losing your home, losing your car. You are afraid of all of these material things being gone and reverting right back to where you started in the past. But I'm telling you right now, as long as you continue to have that faith, continue to risk it all for the future. You have to be futuRISKtic. Continue to risk all of that, because if you risk all of that, that means your faith is going to prevail. Let me tell you something. Just as you got to the present from the past, you're going to get from the present to the future. That dream house that you want, that business that you desire, that tax bracket that you want to get to, everything that you desire in your entrepreneurial journey or in your career-driven business, or no matter what it may be, you will accomplish it as long as you continue to have faith. If you're going to risk anything, risk this. Risk everything that you have right now, because you got something right now, because you risked it before. Ladies and gentlemen, you have to continue to go forward, because you already wounded. You're already worried. You're already stressed. You're already anxious. If you already feel these feelings, if you are already worried about going back to the past, if you are worried about all of these things and more, then it's a risk worth taking, because at the end of the day, the best that can happen is you will ascend even higher. The best that can happen is you will have more joy. The best that can happen is is you will feel more empowered. The best that can happen is your faith will be another testimony. The best that can happen is that you are going to be more relieved. The best that can happen is that you are going to be free from these burdens that are plaguing you right now in the present that you are struggling with at this very moment. It doesn't matter what you're struggling with or what you're worried about, whether it's entrepreneurial, career-driven, or personal, or a multitude of all those combined. It does not matter. You have to continue to be futuristic. Whatever it is that you are battling right now, continue to risk it all. You might not have the energy to go forward today. You might be struggling today. You might be worried today. You might be depleted today. And that's okay because you're human. But this is what you need to do. You need to take a breather for yourself. You need to journal. You need to do something that gives yourself some tender love and care. And you need to remind yourself of why you started. You need to remind yourself of where you came from. And you need to remind yourself that what you are going through right now is literally nothing to what you endured before. And you will conquer it, and you can conquer it. Continue to be futuristic. Who cares if your credit score dropped? Who cares if you lost some money? Who cares if you're getting bill after bill in the mail? Who cares? Because that's going to continue to happen. That's the way this capitalistic world is set up. But because that's the way the world is set up, your faith has to be set up even stronger, to something even greater, to something even more powerful, to something that will overcome that. You will manifest and you will attract what you need. You already have what you need right now. Let me correct myself. But you will continue to attract even more things that will benefit you in this fight to get you to the next level. Continue to believe. I know it's easier said than done right now because I go through it myself. I talked about how seasonal depression plagues me. I talked about how seasonal depression is annoying, but nonetheless, we will get through this together as long as we remain futuristic. That's my message this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Faith and risk are synonymous. Because if faith is the evidence of things that are unseen, doesn't that sound like a risk to you? Because as humans, we love to see, we love to touch, we love to make logical sense out of things. Right now, we can't make logical sense out of what we're going through. Right now, we can't make logical sense out of the struggles and why it's happening to us again and again and again. We went through it already in the past. Why we got to go through it again right now in the present? We can't make logical sense of it. But if we can't make logical sense of that, and we allow that to worry us, then why is it that we block ourselves by trying to make logical sense of something that we cannot see, something that we cannot touch? Because that, what we cannot see, is what's most powerful. That, what we cannot see, is what's greater. That, what we cannot see, is what brought us through those past struggles. What we cannot see is the most power. What we cannot see is what really is going to bring us through and what's going to carry us to the finish line to accomplishing our goals. So continue to have faith, continue to risk it all, continue to faith it all, and continue to be futuristic. If this podcast has benefited you in any way, shape, or form, I ask for two things as always. Number one, leave a 5-star review. And number two, pass it on to a friend who may benefit from it as well. Have a great day, everybody. I'll talk to you next week.